Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Greetings from the University of Findlay here in chilly Findlay, Ohio this morning on behalf of over 25,000 alumni living in 62 countries around the world. We'd like to welcome you to our second edition of our virtual Coffee with the Coaches event. I am your host. My name is Julie Klingler. I serve as the director for the Wolf Center for alumni, parents, and friends. And today we welcome all of you on the call today. So we've got Oilers Club members, we've got former athletes, we've got parents, current student athletes, and so many wonderful alumni and friends today on the call. We're so excited to see you. We hope that you have brought your coffee to the table this morning so that you could sit and chat with us for an athletics update. Whether you are a loyal UF supporter or you're new to us, we are really glad that you're here. It's been an exciting spring semester for us. We've welcomed our students back onto campus, and really it's the perfect time for a UF athletic coaches update. So today our event will be moderated by our Director of Athletics, Brandi Laurita, and she will introduce our 4 coaches today, our 1 alum and our 3 current student athletes in a few minutes. Some of them will be sharing stories about the impact UF athletics has made on their lives and their careers, and others will share positive experiences that are happening right now. So before we turn it over to Brandi, I'd like to just make a couple of announcements. We want you to make the most of this virtual event. So up in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a little view button. Make sure you click on speaker view so that you can see the biggest picture of those who are speaking at one time. Down at the bottom of your screen on this webinar, you've got a couple features we like to use. The chat feature. So make sure that you're using the chat, reconnect with your friends, say hello to others, and interact. Post comments too, we love that. We also have a Q&A section down there at the bottom of your screen. And at the end of the session, we'll take your questions for our panelists as long as time permits. So make sure you drop those questions in the Q&A section today. Also, we're going to have some trivia questions today and a drawing for prizes. So in the middle of the event, we will take a break and do some trivia. And that'll be fun. And then at the end, we'll be giving away our biggest prize. So make sure that you stay with us for the whole webinar today because you have to be present to win. So you can look forward to that. A little later, we'll tell you about upcoming programming, including our plans for 2021 homecoming and other events as well. So at this point, let's just dive right in and get started. I'm honored to introduce Brandi Lorita. Brandi began her role as the Director of Athletics in 2015 after serving as an Assistant Athletic Director and Senior Women Administrator for the university from 2008 to 2015. As leader of the athletic department, Brandi oversees all of Findlay's athletic programs, which includes 24 varsity sports. During her tenure, Brandi's leadership has allowed the program to have back-to-back GMAC President's Cup wins, also finished in the top 25 among all Division II schools in overall competitive success, and increased student athlete rosters and retention. Brandi has also served in the NCAA Division II and in the Findlay community as well. So she has served as chair of Findlay Hancock County Convention and Visitors Bureau Board of Directors in 2013. She's been a member of the Findlay Hancock County Alliance Board of Directors. She's currently the chair for the GMAC Administrative Council, currently serves on the board of the Division II Athletics Directors Association, also serves on the Findlay Family YMCA Board of Directors and the Executive Committee of the board, currently a member of the Blanchard Valley Hospital governance structure. Brandi graduated from St. Andrew's Presbyterian College, earning a degree in physical education, and was a dual sport athlete in volleyball and softball. She holds a master's degree in education from Converse. And now I will turn it over to Brandi. Welcome, Brandi.
Julie, that's the nicest thing anybody has said about me, maybe forever. So thank you. Welcome to all that are on today. I'd like to just start by saying thank you for being here and for your support, not just right now, but your continued and consistent support of Oilers athletics. We can't do what we do without you. And I think that everyone you'll see on the screen here, the coaches, student athletes, and alum would agree that everyone's experience is better because of you and what you do for us. whether it is your time, talents, or treasures. Your support is valuable and keeps us going. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for your support. And hopefully today we have about 45 minutes to give you a glimpse into 4 of our programs here at the university and what's going on from a coach and student athlete perspective. So ask questions. If you've got something, drop them in the question and answer. But I'd like to jump right into softball. So our head coach, Brandi Lau, is in her 6th season. But not a stranger to Oilers athletics, as she's an alum. And so Brandi brings to us a different perspective in that student athlete perspective, left and was a head coach somewhere else and has come back to us as our head coach. So brings a lot of valuable experience, but I would say none of that experience has probably prepared you for this season. Season being cut short last year, this is the longest break that probably you and your student athletes have had without competitive opportunities. Many of our young ladies could not compete in summer ball. Things are just different. So tell me how all of the changes have affected you preparing for this season.
Sure. Thanks, Brandi. We did have our season cut short last year. We were fortunate enough to have an opportunity to go to Florida and play in Florida. And we had a great start to our season. We were 10-2 coming back from Florida and played some really tough competition and had a blast. And we got back and we had to go home. And since then, we have talked to our student athletes about staying healthy and worrying about school and family and friends. And we've kind of focused on that. And over this past winter break, we got together and just recently we got together as a Zoom right before school started and kind of decided that we didn't want COVID to change our values and our philosophies. And that was really important to us, that we stayed true to who we are as a program. And who we are is we want to continue to focus on the student athlete's health, socially, mentally, physically. We want them to be healthy. And then we also want them to put their family and their faith first. That's important to us too. And then obviously school is important in their career after they leave here. And then it comes to our team and having fun and figuring out how to do all that with this COVID in place. And I think we are in week 3, 4, correct me if I'm wrong, with starting our season and practicing, and the team has done awesome. They have been challenged to wear a mask during practice, and they have accepted it, and maybe not loving it, but they are doing it, and they are doing the things that we need to do to start our season coming up here in a couple weeks. So we're excited.
So speaking of starting your season, Kerrigan Yannick is our softball student athlete that's here today. And I say you're a senior-ish, trying to figure out if we're coming back or not. With everyone getting an extra year of eligibility, Kerrigan's trying to decide if we have a job coming up or if we're coming back. So no pressure, but as you decide that and as you prepare, I look out my window here in blistery Findlay, Ohio, and there's snow on the ground, and you're scheduled to play a game in, I think, 10 days. So tell me, as a student athlete, how you're preparing to play a competitive softball game outside, and I'm not sure you all got to practice much outside.
So as a student athlete, especially with softball, we play in all types of weather. Last year, or at least the past couple years, going to Lake Erie, I think, is the best way to put it. It really challenges our ability to play in the cold. I think we played in it was freezing cold, and we all pushed through, and you have to learn how to layer and when to run. I see that look, Coach Lau. And how to take care of yourself in that type of weather. So if that means bringing extra gloves, extra socks, you usually come with a duffel bag to the field, not just your bat bag. And I think that's what helps us. But also our team is so mentally tough. Like, that's the best way I can put it. We're not just tough, like physically, but mentally. Like, with COVID, with our year getting taken away, like, we've become so strong. So I don't think the weather is going to stop us. We want this season and we want to play. So
Do you feel like there's a heightened stress or kind of what's on the line since you did lose the season last year? Is there an extra excitement, a level of anxiety? What are you all feeling about the anticipation of this season?
I think we're feeling it all. Like, I think that's completely, I feel like it'd be weird to say that we don't feel all of those emotions, because for a lot of us, some of this will be some people's last year, or their first year. And I think that this year, you're going to be excited because we want to play. We want to start on a good foot. But we're also anxious because we haven't played in so long. So we do the inner squats and all that, and that prepares you a lot. But sometimes it's that extra push to play someone new. But I think it's going to be good to have anxiety and to be excited, because that'll level us out.
Awesome. And I will end with, okay, so you're a pitcher. If everybody doesn't know, Kerrigan's a pitcher. Go-to pitch. What's your, strike three pitch that you go to?
My screwball. I have 4 different screwballs, so I love them.
Very nice. Coming from a former softball player, that would have not worked well for me as a hitter. So we wish you the best of luck, and hopefully the snow will melt so you can get outside soon. And looking at being outside, Coach Smith, this is not normally when you're playing your season. So Andy, you've been here at the University of Findlay. I think this is year 33. And so you've lived through a lot of things, but I'm not sure you've ever played a soccer season in the spring. So tell me about how this change in schedule and kind of the uproot of the fall has changed the way you're preparing for your soccer season.
Well, we have played games in the snow before, Brandi, at the end of the fall, so we're not completely unused to playing in bad conditions. But yeah, it's definitely going to be an adjustment. We're kind of going the opposite direction, so we'll be starting our games in the cold weather and then hopefully moving towards for warm weather. I think our guys will be perfectly fine with that. We have had, the way we're looking at it is we have had the longest pre-season on record. We started back in August and we're still going. So we can't complain about not being prepared. I think we're going to be, absolutely prepared. Probably our biggest concern actually in the fall was just whether the guys were going to be motivated, because it's always tough when you don't have games. And we literally had one practice where we had to kind of call them out and say, yeah, we need to pick it up. In a regular season where you're playing games every few days, we'd probably call them out 2 or 3 times in that season. So in other words, our guys were really focused, did a really good job. And we did get a practice outside a couple of weeks ago. And the players that came back, it was, as though we just practiced the day before. It wasn't that they were rusty. We weren't having the, tell them how to kick the ball, that kind of thing. It was, they were all ready to go. We're hoping we're going to be able to get outside tomorrow as well. That'll probably be the last time we get outside for a while as the temperature dips into the teens. But we're really optimistic about the season. The freshmen that we've got have integrated really well with the returning players. And I think we're just happy if we can get any kind of season into the weather. Going back to your original point, is a 0 factor for us.
So Andy, you've got a ton of alums, not just from men's soccer, but in your tenure at Findlay, you have coached women's soccer, you've coached other things. The alums that are on the call and they're looking at you and saying, Coach, what are you doing with all your time? Now that you're only coaching one sport, when you for so many years coached multiple things. How has that changed your perspective on preparing for the men's soccer team and what you used to have to do when you were preparing for multiple games?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, really, I'm not sure exactly how I did it. I was a lot younger, had a lot more energy. But now that I'm just coaching one team, it's great because I can put my entire focus on that one team. When I was doing, men's and women's soccer in the same season on the same day, I'd have to switch my mentality, and a lot of times it didn't work if the practice was with the the guys team first, and then it went with the women's team. I was usually kind of really hyper after the men's practice, and then I'd have to calm down a little bit for the women. And if I was doing it the other way around, it was, that challenge. But the time factor is great, because I think I can do a lot more with the team, with just having one team. We can go more into the sort of weeds, get into the details, the little nuances that, perhaps we didn't have time to do when I was coaching two teams. So definitely benefited me, and I think our men's program is slowly getting back to the point that we were at when, we went to the Final Four, for example. I think we've got the starting of a team that's hopefully in the next, maybe in the spring, maybe in the fall, will be, pushing to that sort of level, hopefully.
We're excited to see players like David here back on the field. So David Hug comes to us from Germany, and as a sophomore had a phenomenal freshman season. So David, tell us about, is the University of Findlay what you expected? How did you find out about us? Just kind of that experience that you've had coming all the way from Germany.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's much better than I expected, because in Germany, it's not possible to connect your sport and university. So since I'm like 14, 15 years old, I look for opportunity to do both. And yeah, then I heard about the opportunity in the US to do your university and your sport. And then I talked to coach, and I had some really good talks with him. And first I thought maybe like Findlay is a bit too small for me, because I'm from a big city in Germany. But yeah, I had some good talks with coach, and now I'm happy to be here.
So you're a business major, and I believe you are anticipating, after your time here at the University of Findlay, of going back home, close to family. And so being this far away from family, how has that transition been? Has it made you closer with your family because you're talking to them more, or how has it been being that far away from family, you being so family oriented?
Yeah, I'm a family person, so I'm talking a lot to my family. But when I was 16 years old, I was for half year in New Zealand, so I already know that feeling. And yeah, sometimes it's hard because, like, not only that they are so far away, but because of the time difference, it's like 6 hours. So in Germany, it's 5 p.m. right now, or close to 5 p.m. Yeah, that's sometimes hard, but yeah, with my team and friends here, I can do it. So yeah, that works.
Did your family get the opportunity, even with the time difference, to watch you play online? Are they able to see you play here?
Yeah, in fall 2019, when I had my first season here, they watched pretty much every game. So that worked really good. In Germany, you have to go to the game because you can't watch it online. They're not filming it. So that's pretty good that here's everything online, and so they can watch my games.
Awesome. Well, we are looking forward to getting you back on the field to see what that sophomore season for you holds. I think it'll be a good one. And at this point, Julie, I'll stop and give our little break kind of in the middle so you can jump in, and then we'll dive back into basketball.
Okay, Brandi, that sounds good. We're going to do a halfway break and play some trivia. We've got some athletic trivia to share with you today. We do this by using an app called Kahoot. So you should be able to see that on my screen at this point. Go to Kahoot.it, and we're going to run it with Coffee with the Coaches theme. So I'll go ahead and get started over here. Take your device, any device like your phone, a tablet, and pull that up. Go to your browser, type in Kahoot. And then when it comes up on the screen, you're going to need a game pin. And so you want to enter that game pin, and it's on your screen now. So you should see it. 501-7827. And after you get there, then you're going to have to enter a nickname. And here they're coming in now. You can see that on the screen. So we've got Jeff and Britt, and they're all filing in. So we're going to give them a few minutes to come in to the room, and then we'll start the game. Our prize for this game is an alumni swag bag. And And it is pretty cool. I'll show it to you in a couple of minutes. We've got just 3 questions, so it's going to be easy to get a great winner out of this. It looks like we've got 13 players. Anybody else on the call want to play? Okay, we got a couple more coming in. Our winner is going to win the swag bag, and we'll have some fun. Let's test your knowledge and see. Let's see how much you know about athletics. We'll give them another minute. People are still coming in. Enter the game pin, give yourself a nickname, and get in, and we'll get started. Okay, so it looks like everybody's in. We've got 19 players. So let's see. We're going to start it by clicking this. And our first question, number 1, is, and you have to answer, by the way, on your screen. In what year did the Roughneck Wrestling team win the NAIA National Crown? Good, answers are coming in. Get those answers in. All right. Okay, there we go. The correct answer is 1995. And let's see who's in the lead so far. Looks like Tara. All right, so our next question is going to be a true or false question. The last time the men's basketball team finished in the Sweet 16 was in 2017. Is that true or is that false? Oh, good, I see some answers coming in. 9 seconds. All right, get those answers in. The answer is true. And so we'll go to the next screen and see who's in the lead. It looks like Rach is in the lead so far. All right, so let's keep going. Question number 3. The Russ and Peg Armstrong Sports Complex includes how many professional grade tennis courts and practice fields? So pick one of these. This might be a tough one. You have to really think about what you see over there and what you know. 8 seconds. Always save the hardest one for last. 6 courts and 5 fields. All right, so our winner then, and this will calculate it for us. Randy comes in number 3. Good job, Randy. Rach, number 2. And our number 1 winner is JJ. So here's the thing. Good job, JJ, but here's the thing. And we have runners up, Trisha and Stacy at 4 and 5. So that is great, but I need to know who JJ is. So if you could, in the chat, JJ, give us your full name, because we need to figure out who you are so that we can use your registration information to get you your gift. Okay, Jeff Jenkins. All right, Jeff, thank you. The gift is an alumni swag bag, which includes a lanyard, a face mask, a water bottle, a notebook, and so much more. So we will send this off to you, Jeff, and we'll use that information that you left us in the registration. So thank you. And Brandi, I will turn it back over to you at this time.
Good job on all the trivia. I will not comment if I knew all of the answers or not. The basketball one, that was not the date I was thinking, so I would have got that one wrong. Thinking of basketball, we've talked about moving into the spring, and we're talking about basketball now, who is in the midst of, I would like to say, chaos and changes and schedules being moved almost on a daily basis. Jim Weedy, women's basketball, 8th season. Jim, you might be the most meticulous person I've ever met. Everything is scheduled and planned, and you get calls from me weekly that say, hey, we're going to change plans. How have you had to adjust as a coach with the ever-changing schedule, practices, testing? How has that made you adjust your game plans?
Well, we made a decision early on when we knew that we were going to play, and Caitlin and I sat down, and we basically said that the team is going to mirror how we react to things, because there's so many unknowns, and things are going to constantly be changing as the year went on. So our approach from the beginning, and we told our players that it could be one way tomorrow, and then 2 days later, it could be something different. Then a week later, it could be something totally different. Just be ready to go and ready to roll with it, and just adapt and overcome and do the best you can. And to their credit, they've done a terrific job. You know, we've had two periods where we had to battle with players being out because of COVID. We had an incident early in the year in late October where we lost 4 players for a while. And then we've got a group now that's just starting to transition back. We were without 6 of them for about a 3-week period. We got 2 more back. We got 2 that are almost back. That'll be back by Saturday. And then we've got 2 that are still out. But it's just been a crazy year, but I really respect the way our kids have handled everything.
How have you talked about players being out, and how has that affected how you're preparing? So you have your set, maybe your starting 5 or what your bench looks like, substitutions, and then that gets thrown out the window because maybe you lose somebody. So how has that changed? Are players practicing different positions to be ready for the just in case, or has anything changed in your practice planning for games?
Well, we were fortunate from at the very beginning, October 25th through the 27th, we lost our 4 returning starters from last year and our 4 best players. So by the time they came out of quarantine and made their transition and everything, they had just missed, practice time. We hadn't been playing games at that point. So the core group, for the most part, has been together. This last period where we've had the 6 players that are out, only one of those players was starting at the time. And we unfortunately had both of our backup point guards were out. Serena just came back for the game this past weekend at Lake Erie. We have a couple of shooting guards that are out. But we have players that play multiple positions. So they're used to that, playing different spots. There was a period there where we only had 6 for about a week and a half where we were practicing, and we were just doing basically skill workouts with that group. And then it gave kids an opportunity. Like some of the players that maybe weren't getting as many minutes early in the year, if any, had an opportunity over these last couple of weeks to step into game situations, get some experience. Hopefully we're back to full strength here in the next week or so, and we can finish out the season strong.
Hey, folks, I'm not sure what happened to Brandi. Brandi, are you with us? I think we may have lost her. And I don't see her on the call. Coach Ernst, do you want to
I can just jump in and talk about our season.
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, obviously Jim and I's seasons mirror one another each year. So this year's not a whole lot different, although early in the season, the healthy teams tried to find opponents because you weren't sure what the future held. And Jim played a few opponents scheduled for later in the year because Findlay was healthy and Cedarville was healthy, but maybe the opponents you were scheduled to play were not. So the reason that impacted us is because, whereas maybe the men's teams were healthy back in November. So we're not playing quite as many double headers as what we have in the past. It's put a little different spin on traveling, a little different spin on scheduling. But nonetheless, it's one of many things we've just had to adjust to. I think one of the things it's done, especially on the men's side, fortunately, it doesn't impact us as much as it does others in our league. But, we're now down to the last month of the season. And we have a few teams in our league that have only played 8 games, which means they have 12 to play. So normally basketball's a 4-month season. Normally you would have 6 to 8 games per month. So for some schools, they have 12 left. That's a lot of games, especially when you consider you have to take 1 day off a week by NCAA rules. So that's at least 4 days in February, which means you're probably going to be playing more than you're going to be practicing. For us, we've only got 8 games left. So it's still going to be busy, But I'd like to think that maybe the fact that we've been a pretty healthy team all year, knock on wood, should help us if we can stay healthy. And we're a deep team. I play 10 guys every game. There are some teams that play 7 or 8. So as we get into this play a day, sit a day, play a day, sit a day, it's going to take its toll. Hopefully our depth will give us an advantage.
Good. Thank you, Coach Ernst. I know we asked our basketball alum, Chuck Daniels, to sit in on the call today and talk to you, with you about his experience at basketball years ago. And so what I'd like to do is I want to bring back Coach Weedy in a minute I think Brandi might be back. Let's see. Brandi, are you back? Yes. You're muted. I can't hear you, Brandi.
Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yeah. When you left us, Coach Weedy was talking a little bit about his sport. We didn't get a chance to bring Paige in. We did have, just to catch you up, we did have Coach Ernst jump in and start talking. So that's kind of where we were. So I'll let you take it back from here.
Awesome. So Charlie, what are you telling us good about what's going on if you're talking?
I just kind of gave a brief update about what the month of February looks like for our team and for our conference and men's basketball in general. She needed someone to talk, and I do that pretty well, so I just jumped in.
Well, awesome. Thank you for doing that. Jim, sorry to cut you off. I was still talking and asked Paige a question and then realized that you all couldn't hear me. So, Paige, are you still with us?
Yes.
Awesome. So we heard Coach talk about his planning and how things are changing. How does that affect you as a student athlete? How do you plan for kind of the unknown and the changes? What are you doing differently to prepare?
We just really plan like the next week in advance. Usually I would plan like 2-3 weeks in advance is when I would get all my schoolwork done and stuff. But now we're just kind of playing it every like 5-7 days at a time, just in case games change or we have to travel or things like that.
Have you had the opportunity since you've been traveling? Classes are some hybrid, some online. Has that kept you in class more, that you have the ability to join classes while you're traveling? Or how has the travel affected your academics this year?
It really hasn't played that different of a role as it would like last year. It's kind of the same. I just try to jump on the Zoom anytime I can. Like if we're on the road, like in Nashville a week ago, I just tried to join the Zoom whenever I could, or I could just rewatch the class lectures, which was really helpful, honestly. So I feel like being on the Zoom, I'm able to rewatch even more than I could last year if I missed it because they weren't recorded last year.
So you're having a great year, I would say, athletically, at least from, my outside opinion watching, and players changing in and out, and you all have different rotations. Is there a time in the game that is your favorite time of the game? Are you an early player? Do you like to get out to a big lead? All things, ideally you want to be ahead the whole game, but what really gets you excited in a game as a player on the court?
I really like the beginnings of games just because I just like jumping teams just like from the start, and I like playing with my friends usually because I start with them. So it's just fun to like jump teams right from the beginning and then get a lead, and then hopefully the bench and like when people start subbing in, we keep it up.
Awesome. Well, you've got games coming up here. Good luck. We hope that you guys continue to have some success, and we're looking forward to watching them. And I'll turn it now back over to Charlie. And you gave a little update while I was gone, but looking beyond our basketball program, you serve in a role on a regional advisory committee to look at that regional ranking process. And I know you haven't had a call yet, but what concerns you this year about the changes that you might see from a regional perspective, looking at how we will place teams in the regions?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And the NCAA announced a couple months ago that the men's basketball would reduce the tournament from 64 teams to 48. And, so on one hand, that's obviously costs a lot of spots, but there's a lot of teams not playing either. So I think percentage wise, it's going to end up being about the same. But where that messed things up is it's not so much schools making decisions as what it was conferences making decisions that they wouldn't play. So as an example, there's a big part of the East Coast that opted out of the season. And then the West Coast Conference opted out of the season. Florida Conference opted out of the season. So, the bids in the tournament are distributed by regions, and some of the regions have very few schools in them, while other regions like our own, all three conferences are playing men's basketball, the GLIAC, the GLVC, and the GMAC. So I think the interesting thing will be is there's talk of them moving some teams from certain conferences to other regions for the tournament. And sounds like we may or may not be one of those. So I think until that happens, there's just a lot of uncertainty and hopefully we'll be in that discussion here at the end of the month.
So just an update for you. We're supposed to get some more clarification on that tomorrow. Championships committee meets. So hopefully before your first regional call, you'll at least know what region you're ranking if we are moving. But that continues to add probably an extra level of unknown as you're doing all of the things Coach Whitty talked about with changing of practices and games and how that's all working out. Something else that I think that all of our coaches are doing it and you're doing well is planning for testing. So our student athletes are all in a testing protocol and going through different requirements to be eligible to play. Tell us a little bit about how testing has played into your game plan and what you're doing to adjust schedules for that.
Yeah, that's probably on the forefront of my mind every week. Due to contact tracing, we can't be together as a group for 48 hours prior to a test. Otherwise, anyone in our group, if one person tests positive, we lose the whole team. So as an example, when we got off the bus from the Lake Erie game, I think it was almost 1 a.m. on Monday night, I knew that we were going to have to take the next 2 days off. So we have this big game against Hillsdale this Saturday. So we took yesterday off, Tuesday. We're taking today off, Wednesday, and then we'll test tomorrow and practice right after testing. Normally, in years past, I would have never taken, I would have said, we need 3 days of practice before we play Hillsdale. But because of COVID and because of, contact tracing and the potential of losing players, which we still could lose players if they test positive, but we won't lose the entire team. That's where testing. Now this week, fortunately, we have a little wiggle room because we have, 5 days in prep for Hillsdale. Where it gets tight is on next week. We play on Monday and Thursday. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to test in between those two games and try to find 48 hours. So it's a lot of thinking, a lot of planning, sometimes planning way ahead. But I think it's what you have to do in this environment. We're giving up practices to play games essentially.
Well, keep doing what you're doing. Team's having a lot of success, and knock on wood, that continues. And you're in those regional conversations and testing goes well. So I think every week we all hold our breath as each team goes in to see what, if any, adjustments we're going to have to make. So good luck against Hillsdale, big game there. And we have with us Chuck Daniels, and Chuck's an alum and a very successful alum, doing well professionally now. Chuck, can you imagine going through all of these changes as a student athlete? If my memory serves me correct, not just basketball, but maybe you played some baseball at the University of Findlay. So what are you thinking about all of these things that you're hearing and the adjustments that we're currently making for athletics?
Brandi, it's really amazing the ability for our people to adapt. And I can't imagine what it would have been like as a student athlete to play in the environment that we have today. It's certainly a challenge, and kudos to all the athletes and all the coaches and what they're being able to do to continue to play and have success.
So you're successful. I mentioned that you're doing great things. We won't tell everybody that you're in warm, sunny Florida and not in the snow here right now with us in Findlay. But what do you take away as the biggest thing that has helped you be successful after athletics that maybe you wouldn't have had the experience or wouldn't have developed the skills if you hadn't been a student athlete? You know, what's something that you feel like has helped you be successful?
Undoubtedly for me, Brandi, being, in a position where I had the opportunity to play both basketball and baseball in the spring, it was carrying a full course load in addition to baseball practice, maybe at 6 a.m., class during the day, and either a basketball practice or a game at night. It's time management skills. And certainly that alone has done wonderful things for me as I transitioned into my professional career. But being able to manage your time and prioritize and ensure that you get the tasks done that you need to get done any day, any given day it was a challenge back in I'm going to date myself now, 93, 7, but it certainly is very helpful today.
Well, I think you've mastered it, and our student athletes right now are definitely dealing with time management struggles. What's a piece of advice you'd give? You've got 3 current student athletes here on the call with us and others that are watching. What's a piece of advice you'd give our current student athletes about their athletic experience?
I think the biggest thing for me when I speak with young people that are in college athletics is enjoy it. Embrace every minute and enjoy it. It goes by so quickly. We were very fortunate. We had some challenges early in my career, especially around basketball and baseball both, but ended my collegiate career with a lot of great success. We won our first national tournament game my junior year of basketball on a fantastic last second 3 buzzer beater from Mark Bishop, and that propelled us into the following year, and certainly being able to compete in a district level where we hadn't been before in the baseball season was awesome. And just the things that you'd be able to take away, not only the coaching relationships that you'll have the rest of your life with all of your coaches, but the players. All the players that I played with, whether we talk regularly or maybe just once a year, certainly always continue to have that bond, and just enjoy it. It goes by so quick.
I would agree, and hopefully our student athletes are listening, that it does go by quicker than you'd ever think. So Chuck, I thank you for being here today. I know you're a busy man and doing well. And we're excited that you're now joining us on governance level at the university as a trustee. So that gives me a lot of excitement to have a former student athlete helping lead us from a university perspective. So looking forward to working with you a lot in the future.
Likewise, Brandi, and thanks for the opportunity to be here today.
Yeah, so you all have got to hear from 4 programs, a little bit of an insight in what's happening. And I thank each of you for being on today and for all that you're doing. Our coaches and our student athletes have been working tremendously hard to make athletics happen this year in the midst of a pandemic. And I think that they are doing very well. In a time that we weren't sure we were going to get to play, no one gave up, and everyone stayed positive and has taken and rolled with every punch that we've thrown at them. So thank you to our coaches and student athletes for all of your work, and our staff at the University of Findlay for making it all possible. Again, I want to thank our supporters that you're here today, those that will watch this later, for your support makes it all possible. And we hope that you'll continue to support us on whatever level that you can, to allow for the best student athlete experience that we can have. Can't do it without you. And I thank you for all that you do. And with that being said, Julie, I'll turn it back over to you to see if there's any questions or any wrap up.
Yeah, thank you, Brandi. That was all very well said. We'll do a brief Q&A. We've got a few questions to answer. And then we will do the drawing for the big athletics swag gift at the very end. So one of the questions I wanted to toss out there, Brandi, and maybe you can answer this one for me. It comes from Walter, and he asks, will lacrosse allow spectators?
Yeah, so we are currently not allowing any indoor spectators for basketball, volleyball, track, anything that's competing inside, wrestling, which has been probably one of the toughest decisions we've had to make internally to allow our student athletes to have that experience. We are formulating a plan for outdoor spectators at this point. We are planning on allowing a limited amount of outdoor spectators, probably somewhere between 15 to 25% of the facility capacity so that they can spread out. Being outdoors is something that really helps with our ability to do that. So we do anticipate, at least as of today, to have spectators at our outdoor athletic competitions at a very limited capacity, but some opportunities there for actual on-campus spectators.
Good. That ties into Abby's question. She asks, will we have a full schedule for fall? And what about spectators? So can you talk a little bit about that, Brandi?
For our current sports that are our fall sports that are playing in the spring, most of them on our very shortened schedule. For example, football is only scheduled to play 6 games. Normally they would play 11. Volleyball is only playing 11 conference games. So condensed schedules for our fall sports that are playing right now to allow them the opportunity, but it's a pretty quick turnaround to the fall. And so that was taken into consideration as we added their schedules to the spring, that we wanted to make sure they had enough recovery time, injury recovery time, and prepare for the fall. So shortened schedules. And then as we work through the spectators and get more details, all of that will be put out, but less opportunity, but still a great opportunity for them to get some competitive games in.
Okay, good. Good. And then also, Gregory asks, how have your seniors helped lead the teams thus far this year?
I'll take it, and then I'll turn it over to any of the coaches that want to add. I have been impressed with our leadership on our teams, and some of it's been senior, some of it has not, but our student athletes have stepped up to lead through a very difficult time, not just on their team, but on campus. We have asked for them to step up in a leadership role on campus to help with enforcing policies, to really be a good role model, to make sure that they have an opportunity to compete. So I think they've done a great job in uncharted waters, but I will turn it over if any coaches have any other kudos for our seniors, our leaders on our teams.
I guess I'll talk about it briefly with my team. I think their role is very similar to years past. I don't see it changing a whole lot. I think the most important thing you look for from your seniors is their daily approach to practice, their daily approach to games, and of course, their daily approach to the pandemic. But, I think they set the tone. As coaches, you worry the most about players, categorizing games, meaning like this is a big game and this one here is maybe not so big. And, you try to develop a system, a culture, a belief system where every game's important, and that starts in practice. Every practice is important, and you lean on your seniors to set the tone there. Not just because as a coach, you can talk about it, but really it's done by example. And I think that's where I lean on the seniors the most. So I don't think that their role has really changed all that much this season.
Yeah, Brandi, in our situation, it's a little unique because our core group is more junior based. So our 2 captains are Paige and Amber Schweiger, and the core group is in that junior class. So the leadership really comes from that group more so than our 3 seniors. We are not the most vocal team in the world, and Paige and Amber are probably the 2 most vocal players that we have on the team. And being a captain is sometimes a thankless job. It's a tough job to have, and those 2 have to carry the bulk of the talking that we do in practice, and they get a sense of how coaches feel sometimes when you're the only ones that are talking every single day. for an hour and a half or 2 hours. It's kind of draining. But without those two, I don't know if we'd ever say a word in practice, to be honest with you. So the role that Amber and Paige have played this year, especially with all the uncertainty and all the unknowns and the changing schedules and everything, they've done a terrific job as far as leading this team.
Jumping in for men's soccer, we haven't had any games, but I think leadership, not necessarily seniors, as Jim said, is extremely important, especially when you don't have any games. I think that was the big thing that we had in the fall. We had good leadership, guys that wanted to make sure they did the right thing off the field, because most of the time our guys are off the field, as with every sport. And we want to make sure that they do the right things. We impressed them on the importance of, just being smart, not going to big parties where there's lots of people in a very small area, just doing the smart things, masking up, etc., etc. And for the most part, I think our leadership happened in the fall, and that got us through the fall. We didn't have to close any practices down, and hopefully that'll transfer into the spring once we start playing games. So leadership definitely very important. We've got a good bunch of leaders on the men's soccer team.
As for softball, we have eight seniors on the team this year, which has been amazing. They've been great leaders. It's been very difficult for them. They like to gather and have the team over and have dinners, and they do Taco Tuesday. I mean, they like to do lots of things. So it's been a little difficult this year to kind of hold them back and to say, hey, we can't get together. We got to do some things a little differently. So they've done a nice job of what they can. But I think it's taken a toll on us a little bit. And we're definitely working through that.
Well, and I'm biased. I would say that they're all learning from great leaders and their coaching staff. So they've got good examples to follow. So Julie, back to you if there's any other questions or anything additional.
Well, we've got some questions that we will answer through email. We should probably get moving on because it's almost 11. This has gone longer than we expected because the conversation's just been so great. I want to thank Brandi. I want to thank the panel. I want to thank all of our guests. We've loved hearing the coaches sharing all the updates and the panel sharing memories and stories of what's going on now. So I know our guests have enjoyed the conversation here today. We have taken the guest list and we have shuffled the names for a winner. And our prize today, our big athletics prize, comes complete with everything that you see here, which is just a ton of stuff. T-shirt, bag, visor, just all this cool stuff. We've got coffee from Fort Findlay and nuts from Wolfie's Nuts. So we're going to be sending this out to the person who wins. So we shuffled the list, and the winner of the swag is, as long as they're here, let's check, Judy Flynn. Judy, are you here on our call today? And if so, answer in the chat. Just let me know. And if not, we'll call another name. And so I'm watching the chat to see if Judy's popping in to say that she is here. And I actually, let's check one other place. I think that I showed that she is here. Maybe she isn't able to get onto the chat. So what I'm gonna do is reach out to Judy using, Judy, I'll use the registration info that you submitted, and we'll be in touch and we'll send you the whole thing. So you'll be getting that soon. Want to mention that we've got homecoming scheduled. We are so excited. We are hoping for in person. We have our fingers crossed over here. 2021 homecoming will be October 8 through 10 this year. So mark your calendars. The football game will be on Saturday at 3 o'clock. UF plays Kentucky Wesleyan. So count on that. Also, we had a lot of people ask about the recording today. We're going to send that out so you can see that. We had a lot who couldn't join us, so we'll make sure that's available. We've also recently added some neat things to our alumni website, so go over there and check that out. You can see our upcoming schedule of virtual events and even refer a future Oiler. So if you know someone who would make a great Oiler or a great student athlete for us, please drop their name in there. And also for any alums that are on the call, feel free to check out more information on our website about our 20% tuition discount for our graduate programs. So come back to UF and get another degree. We want you back with us. So for all of you, I will say goodbye. For all of you who have previously supported UF athletics in any way, we thank you for your gifts. Your generosity impacts UF in so many ways. And those gifts ensure UF continues to be able to offer that level of excellence that our student athletes and our sports programs deserve. So if you have enjoyed today's event and you'd like to make a gift, I will leave you with this slide. Feel free to visit give.findlay.edu. And we want to again thank everybody for being here today. And at this point, we will say goodbye to you. And we hope to see you next time for another Coffee with the Coaches event virtually. Bye, everybody.
Hi, Julie.